Originally, the inspiration to pursue medicine was kind of remembering when I was a child. I would accompany my mom to her doctor's visits, but also I would serve as interpreter. I didn't know that at the time, but I was there to help my mom communicate with her provider. Fast forward a little bit, I think when I was in high school, I really didn't grow up thinking I wanted to be a doctor, but when I was in sports, in track and field, we'd go on meets. And I remember, sadly, I think back on it now, but other schools, when we would go to different meets, other schools you could kind of hear them say like, oh, here comes Española, like here come the druggies and things like that. So, but then as the opportunity came up and I did my undergrad at UNM, it's the furthest I ever traveled. I'm very rooted to my community. But at UNM, I remember in some of those like health classes or in the pre-med classes, sciences, I'd hear like, hey, you're from Española and you made it out? Or you're from Española and you're gonna be a doctor? Whoa, like good for you. And just that started to kind of plant the seed of like, how does the rest of the world look at us from Española? That, along with knowing that, being a Hispanic woman, I could not only be a part of the solution by being a physician who speaks Spanish, speaks the language of the community, also practice in Española so that people don't have to travel outside of Española to get their care, culturally appropriate care. But also to go back to that high school moment. And so having that really hit me, I'm like, man, we need to have a little bit more positive role models in our community, particularly in the high school. The importance of coming back. There was never a question of coming back to Española. There was never a question of coming back to El Centro. I always knew that I wanted to be at the adolescent clinics, the high school clinics. And I think that's where that passion grew of like wanting to inspire the student body, letting them know that, hey, we are not the druggies that other folks might see us as, but we can actually be more. Knowing full well that my community, like many other communities, sadly, are struggling with substance use and addiction. So for my residency program with Santa Fe, I was able to use some of my electives to tailor and try to build my skills in that. So I did an elective in an adolescent clinic. I got to work with some of the pediatricians in Santa Fe. I got to join him in some of the school clinics. And so I think that kind of just instilled that passion even further of wanting to work at the high school and here in Española. And then with just kind of a full circle kind of moment, the addiction rotation that I did with a little doctor who's well known, Dr. Hayes. I did an addiction rotation with her. So really just honing in on my skills, not only the medical part, the medicine part of like medications and how to prescribe medications like Suboxone, but also just how to remain human, right? And have that humility and humanity to taking care of patients that are very vulnerable with such conditions like addiction. Being in a rural community, we have limited resources, not only with specialties or different organizations that we can refer to, but then also just with like the social determinants of health. Often we are limited in what we can do, and it doesn't even entail having medical training, but just that humanity of like, how can I help you? What resources do I have in my clinic, like food vouchers or transportation to get you to your appointments? And knowing that that is going to be our daily experience. By being in a rural community, you're very likely to work at a center that is federally funded, like an FQHC, like where I am, that has limited resources within itself, but then also having less than competitive salaries. I think I'm not the only person when I say that we didn't go into medicine for the money. But that is, when you get down to it, housing, right? And just where am I going to live? Where are my kids going to go to school and all this stuff? And I think that having loan repayment for myself where I am, that was a godsend. That was a great opportunity. It relieved some pressure off of me that I didn't have to think about these great loans from medical school. So I really I appreciated having that opportunity to have loan repayment. We do need family medicine physicians. And preferably if they were homegrown and home trained. I think having la gente take care of la gente, so members of the community take care of their own, I think would help greatly. Having more support, legislative support, whether that be financially or creating policies, is definitely something that needs to happen. It's dire to our communities.